So let me tell you guys how having a Garmin has really helped to completely transform my running over the last year. How's it going, runners? My name is Justin Thompson. I'm your average running PT, and I help the average runner achieve their own personal elite status. If that's something that you guys are into, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click the bell so you know when the next video comes out. So let me start by saying that I always thought that I was a purist, that I just wanted to run because it was easy. It didn't require a lot of equipment. It wasn't really complicated. It was just put on a pair of shoes, head out the door, and just feel your way through your run. And that's what I've done since starting running, whether competitively or obviously as a kid. I didn't have any sort of equipment that was giving me any feedback or data. What I would always use would just be a simple Timex stopwatch that would tell me how fast are you going, or it would tell me how long I was running. That was really all it told me. It didn't tell me how fast I was going because it had no way of tracking how far I was running. I had to measure that out beforehand. So the only way I knew if I was, quote, on pace would be if I marked out the mile markers along the way and checked my watch at each of those mile markers. So, it's something that, for me, running was always simple. It was always easy. It didn't need all the data. But let me tell you what, ever since having my Garmin watch, and it doesn't have to be Garmin, it can be Polar, it can be Suunto, it can be, Coros, whatever the brand. Let me just tell you though, it's completely changed my thoughts on running data that can be acquired and how that data can be used in order to help with your performance in the long term. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you have to have one. I'm not going to make that argument, but I am going to try and at least convince you that, if you are trying to improve and you want to have data that tells you whether you actually are improving, then I think that it's going to be very, very beneficial for you to have some sort of GPS watch or something like that that can tell you exactly what you're doing with your heart rate, your step rate, your all of these different things, and the distances that you're running. So the way this all started for me was whenever I did a running form assessment with my coach, Coach Enoch Nadler, who's, I've mentioned him on the channel before. He's a 213 marathoner. He knows what he's doing when it comes to, form training and all these kinds of things, and coaching and all this. So he's fantastic. But I did a running form assessment with him, and what he did was he gave me his, I believe it was a Polar watch, and he said, okay, put this on, and he also put a little, I think it was like a stride monitor, or it hooked onto the back of my pants, and it kind of was measuring stride rate, and it was measuring all these different things, while he was also video filming me with my running form. And so that's where it started. That was the first time I ever put a GPS watch on my wrist. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll put it on, I'll see what kind of data it gives us. That's fine. And so after we were done and we were looking through all this data, I was like, I had no idea that you could figure these things out from a simple running watch. It just kind of blew me away. And like I said, I never thought I was a data guy. But seeing those numbers, seeing those graphs and those charts was like, whoa, are you serious? I had no idea that I could get this kind of information on the run and be able to review that and check that and see how my body is actually responding or doing on these individual runs. And so my mind started ticking, and I remember it was in the middle of November, or it was early November last year. I think it was like November 9th or 10th, and we were getting close to Thanksgiving, close to Black Friday, and I was like, I think I want a running watch, kind of look for those Black Friday deals or things like that. And as I'm releasing this right now, I'm going to be releasing this on December 3rd, so I'm just past the 1 year mark of getting my first running watch, because I did go and find this watch on Black Friday. I was asking my teammates, what watch should I get? They said if you want something in your budget, I gave them my budget. They said if you want something in that budget that's going to give you all the information that you need, they said get a Garmin Forerunner 235. And so that's what I did. I went and got a Garmin Forerunner 235. It was within my budget. My wife got one too. It was kind of cool. We decided to just kind of do it together. And the information that it gives has just been so valuable that it completely changed the way that I trained. And I remember the first day that I ran with it, I thought, all right, let's just kind of see what the heart rate monitor does. Let's see what how it measures step rate. Let's see if it kind of tracks the mileage right, all that kind of stuff. So I went out for a run with my wife, and it was the day after Black Friday. So it was like just after I got it, and I was like running, and it was showing me that my heart rate was at 161 beats per minute, and I was running at somewhere around 11.5 minutes per mile because I was running with my wife. And I thought, okay, there's one of two things going on here. Either this is completely off, or I am really out of shape, because if I'm running 11.5 minutes a mile and I have 161 beats per minute for my heart rate, something is off. And I thought, I've been running with my team for about a year now. At this point, I had been running with Team FTC for about a year, and so I was like, there's no way I'm that bad out of shape. There's no way my heart rate can't keep up with my running that badly. And, there's no way that such an easy, slow run should increase my heart rate to that level. And it wasn't hot outside that day. I remember it was the day after Thanksgiving, or 2 days after Thanksgiving, and it was in the 60s or something like that in the temperatures. So it wasn't like the temperature was a factor. So in the subsequent days and weeks, I was still trying to kind of figure out, what heart rate should I even be running at? And this is where I started to explore MAF method and low heart rate training, and trying to figure out, what kind of heart rate should I even be running at? And because I hadn't really done that, I wasn't a data guy, remember? So I hadn't ever measured my heart rate in relation to, my running. And so I started to train at my MAF number, which I was 31 at the time, so my MAF number would be 149 beats per minute. I was telling myself, okay, my goal, just try and keep it under 150 and see how that goes. There was so much walking and jogging, walking and jogging, walking and jogging going on, and I was finishing these miles in about 12 minutes per mile, and anywhere between 11.5 and 12 minutes per mile, and I was just thinking, man, I am really, really bad out of shape. And then it clicked. I was like, wait a minute. Whenever I run a 5K, or whenever I do any race for that matter, I always fade at the end. I always feel like I have the speed, like I can bust out the repeats on the track that are required for me to run a certain time in a 5K. But I always fade at the end of a race, whether it's a 5K or a half marathon or any other race distance. I always fade in the end, not because I think that I have a lack of mental toughness, because I was a college athlete. I always felt like I had a lot of mental toughness, but I definitely felt like I was lacking something at the end of races. And for me, it was an aerobic capacity. I didn't have it. It was just not even there. And I was completely reliant on my anaerobic abilities and my ability to burn carbohydrates, and I would just burn that up really fast, really hard. I had never taught my body how to burn fats for fuel. Having this watch taught me how to run in a certain heart rate zone so that I could train my body to burn fat for fuel and not feel that fade at the end of a race. And so, over the last year, I have been running using heart rate. And of course I've, jumped into my Team FTC workouts though, because, I wanted to keep my legs sharp to some degree. And whenever I go to Team FTC workouts, I would talk to my teammates about low heart rate running. And they would see my stuff on Strava, because as soon as I got my watch, I jumped onto Strava as well, which was completely new and foreign to me. So it was, I guess, like the Facebook or Instagram of running or something. I didn't know what it was. I just kind of jumped on and started posting my runs. And my friends and my teammates on the team were looking at my stuff, and they're like, "Why are you running so slow?" I was explaining to them, look, I basically have no aerobic capacity. I basically, I burn myself out pretty much every time I start running. Within a couple of months, I'm kind of like, all right, I'm tired of this. And over those 3 months or so that I was first starting running with my running watch, I wasn't getting burnt out. I was excited to get out there on every run. And that was new to me. I was excited to see the data. I was excited to see over that 3-month period what was happening to my heart rate. Because I went from those 12, 11 and a half minutes, 11-minute miles, and I got down to where I was running just under 10 minutes per mile for these easy runs. I could run, 5 or 6 miles, and my heart rate would stay under that 150. Now, it was during the colder months last year, but I was excited to see the changes in my heart rate. And that's when I started posting on YouTube, because this was exciting to me and I felt like I needed to share it with people. And that was kind of the birth of this YouTube channel. And it really all came out of buying this watch. And it's been a complete game changer for me. Because once I started doing this, my 5K time improved from, I think it was like just under 21 minutes to in October of last year to 19 minutes and I think it was 39 seconds or something like that in March of this year. And then that was kind of the start of it, and I got excited. And then I took some time off because I was getting a little off from COVID starting in March. So I took some time off from running and from the YouTube channel. And then I jumped back on, started the training again, started doing heart rate training again. Had to build it back up a little bit. Now I'm able to run between 9 minutes a mile and 9.5 minutes a mile. I've run now 19:09 for a 5K. I am trying to go under 18 minutes for a 5K coming up in a couple of weeks. And then, the ultimate goal would be to beat my longtime high school PR, which is now 14 years old, which is an 18:22 from high school. So in a couple of weeks, I hope to beat or at least go under 19 minutes as the next step towards my goal of beating my longtime PR. So I think that it's doable. I think that having this watch and having that data and having the heart rate monitor and all of that to keep me in check and keep my legs fresh so that those harder, faster workouts are way more effective. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned is if you run at a heart rate where your legs remain fresh and you're not burnt out, then you're excited to go and do those harder workouts on the track, or harder workouts where you're running those tempo runs or those intervals. It's exciting. It's really exciting. So, I'm not telling you guys that you need to have a GPS watch or heart rate monitor watch or whatever. I'm not saying you have to have it. But if you're an average runner and you want to achieve more, if you want to run faster, and if you want to do it in a way that you feel like you've got numbers, you've got data that can tell you whether you're actually improving, this is a great way to do it. So I'm going to put a link down in the description below to the Garmin Forerunner 235. There's obviously a million other watches out there. So if you are interested in getting into heart rate based training, or just using numbers and data as kind of a way to track, and even posting your stuff on Strava, that's a fun thing because there's community there. That's a kind of a thing that it's an additional benefit, the community that you have on Strava. That's a fun thing. So, I know that was kind of a long-winded kind of a video. I hope that it wasn't too long. I hope that it wasn't too boring. But I'm excited because I've had this for a year now, and it's been such a blessing, so beneficial for me that I wanted to share that with all of you guys. Let me know if you guys have had similar kind of effects of putting on a running watch for the first time. If you kind of had those lights turn on, that light bulb moment of, hey, I can really track this stuff and see how I'm actually improving. And then tell me if you've had similar results just based on the data that you're getting from your GPS watch. All right, so that's all for today, guys. Head on out there, seek your elite. God bless, and I'll see you next time.